Welcome to Project U 2.2, where my goal is to help you break barriers and step confidently into an elevated version of yourself. This podcast dives into mindset, growth, and creating the life you were meant to live. I'm Carrie, a former teacher turned leadership and growth mentor, helping people overcome self-doubt and embrace their next chapter. I believe you are your greatest project. Each week, we'll explore the habits, stories, and strategies that help you break barriers, step into your potential, and level up your life. Let's get started. Today, I want to tell you about one of the most extraordinary people I have ever known, my grandma, Charlotte. She didn't have much. She was poor. She had 11 kids, and my grandpa, well, he was an alcoholic and passed away when I was in middle school. But even in a life that could have easily hardened her, she became one of the kindest, most joy-filled people I have ever known. I remember when my mom interviewed my grandma at one point later in life and asked her what it was like to be poor her whole life while raising 11 children. And my grandma looked at my mom surprised and said, "Oh, Cindy, we weren't poor. I baked a loaf of fresh bread every Friday." My mom used to say, "Grandma Charlotte sees the world through rose-colored glasses." And if that saying has ever been true for anyone, it was true for her. Grandma Charlotte had a simple light with big love. When I was younger, I remember being at her house, and I'll never forget this image. My grandma keeping a single light bulb in her apron pocket. She only had one to share between her bedroom, the living room, and the bathroom. So every time I had to go to the bathroom or anyone else, she would gently unscrew it from the living room or her bedroom, carry it in her pocket, and screw it into the bathroom socket. That light wasn't just for seeing in the dark. It was her. She carried light wherever she went. Every Friday night, her house filled up, and it was a small house with kids, grandkids, chaos, laughter. We went there every Friday night growing up as a kid. She would make a big pot of spaghetti or chili, thinking that it would feed all of us. She would say, go out in the kitchen and eat. There's plenty." But you learned real quickly that there wasn't plenty. But in her heart, there was. On the table, she would always have a glass dish of softened butter and a package of saltine crackers. Somehow those little crackers with that melted butter tasted like love. She never got angry. Even when I remember one year some kids toilet papered her yard for Halloween, and most people would have been furious, but not my grandma. She thought her yard was decorated for Halloween and loved it. She was thrilled that they even left a few full rolls of toilet paper behind because to her, that was a blessing, and she ran out and grabbed those to use. That's how she lived. She didn't just see the bright side of life. She created it. When she was in her 90s, dementia started setting in. She was in a nursing home during COVID, and it broke our hearts because she was lonely and we couldn't visit her like before. I remember finding this mechanical therapy cat online, and I think it was $150. To this day, it might have been the best money I've ever spent. She loved that cat. She carried it in her walker, petted it, talked to it. That little cat got her out of her room. It gave her comfort, connection, and life again. She had so many grandkids and great-grandkids. When she gave us gifts, it was usually a $2 bill and a card, and she would always say, "Someday when my ship comes in, I'm going to give you more. I know it's not much." But what she never realized is her ship had already come in. She was the ship. Her love, her heart, her presence, that was the treasure. I saved those $2 bills and never wanted to spend them. They reminded me that love doesn't have to be fancy to be enough. My grandma was the kind of person you had to be careful talking to, though, especially if you ever said that you liked something that she owned. I can still hear her voice so clearly saying, "Just take it, Carrie, take it, you take it." And it could have been the smallest thing, maybe a figurine on her shelf or a glass lemon squeezer, a Catholic prayer bead rosary, or a coffee cup. I would say something as simple as, "Oh, Grandma, I like your cute little best mom figurine." And before I knew it, she was trying to hand it to me to take home, and I wasn't even a mom yet. She would tell me which one of her kids had given it to her and say, "You like that, honey? You take it home." And I would say, "No, Grandma, that's yours. It's special." And she would smile and say, "I know, but I want you to have it." And then you would spend the next 10 minutes trying to convince her to keep it, which never really worked. Because to Grandma, love wasn't about keeping, it was about giving. That's just who she was. She found more joy in giving something away than most people do in receiving it. She was also proud. Not the kind of pride that puffs up, but the kind that builds others up. No matter what we did, Grandma found a reason to celebrate it. When I took ballroom dancing in college, which, to be honest, was just a way for me to get a PE credit, but my grandma was so proud. She told everyone about it as if I were training for Dancing with the Stars. She told everyone I was taking bar room dancing instead of ballroom dancing, and I honestly don't know if she imagined me dancing on bar tables or in ballrooms, but it didn't matter. She was proud because I was in college and I was the first grandchild to go, and to her, that was everything. I could have been studying dirt and she would have bragged about it. That was Grandma Charlotte. She never compared, never judged, never made us feel guilty for what we didn't do. If someone couldn't make it to a family gathering, she would never shame them or make them feel bad. Instead, she'd fill up a little goodie bag and send it home with someone else and say, "Here, take this to them so they don't miss out." Her love didn't guilt you into showing up. Instead, it made you want to show up. And she was funny too, not in a performing way, but in that effortless, joyful way that just made you feel good. She would throw her head back when she laughed, not caring one bit that she was missing a few teeth. Her laughter filled the room like music. Deep, belly strong, the kind that came from somewhere honest inside. I can still hear her say when I would compliment her top or tell her a color looked nice on her, "Oh, this old thing?" And then she would let out that infectious laugh that made you laugh too, even if you didn't know why. And that's what I miss most. Her laugh, her light, that unwavering belief that the world is still good. She didn't see through rose-colored glasses. She lived in a rose-colored world that she created through kindness, generosity, and her faith. There are people who see the world through rose-colored glasses, like my grandma Charlotte. And then there are people who wear dark-colored ones. You know the people, no matter what happens, they'll find the flaw, the problem, the reason to be unhappy. And if we're honest, we can probably all think of 2 people right now who fit that description. I have a few in mind right now. You know those people. They are draining to be around. They are negative, grumpy. They always find the problem or a reason that it won't work. If you share something good, they'll say, "Yeah, but." If you tell them good news, they'll find the one detail to criticize. If you show them something beautiful, they'll point out what's wrong with it. It is discouraging to be around people like that. You feel it in your body, like the air just gets heavier. If you see their name pop up on your phone, you think, "Do I have the energy for this?" That kind of energy is contagious and not in a good way. If you live in that space long enough, the complaining, the bitterness, the skepticism, it becomes your language. It rewires your brain to look for what's wrong instead of what's right. And then slowly, people start to pull back from you. Your kids stop coming around every Friday night. Your friends cut conversation short. Not because they don't love you, but because it's exhausting to constantly have to lift the energy that's being pulled down. Negativity might feel honest in the moment, but it's really a slow leak, draining the joy out of every room you walk into. If Grandma had those glasses, she might have said, "What good is chili if there isn't enough for everyone?" Or "Why even decorate for Halloween when kids just ruin it anyways?" Or "Why bother with this cat that isn't real?" But she did not live there. She chose to see what was right instead of what was wrong. Think about that sentence again. She chose to see what was right instead of what was wrong. It is easy to slip into those dark glasses, to focus on what's missing or what's wrong instead of what's magical or what's right. To feel like a victim instead of the creator of your own joy. My grandma taught me something. Happiness isn't about what you have. It's about how you see what you have. She wasn't fake. Her joy wasn't forced. It was so genuine, grounded, and real. Life is hard. It beats us up. It gives us loss, disappointment, pain, and heartbreak. And my grandma had all of that. She lost a son. Her husband died. Her husband was an alcoholic when he was alive. She was poor. So it is okay to feel that. It's human. We're not meant to pretend that we're okay when we're not. But here's where the shift happens. Even in the hard stuff, there's always something good to find. There's something to learn, something to laugh about, something to be grateful for. And that's what Grandma Charlotte mastered. She did not ignore her pain. She just refused to let it become her identity. So maybe the question we could start asking is simple. How would Grandma Charlotte see this? What would she do with this moment? Would she complain? Would she gossip about it? Would she roll her eyes and call someone to vent? Or would she find the tiny spark of good, hold on to it, carry it in her apron pocket like that single light bulb? So maybe today's challenge is actually simple. Before you complain, before you spiral, before you dim your own light, ask yourself, what color glasses am I wearing right now? Because Grandma Charlotte proved that even with one light bulb and a pack of saltines with some melted butter, you can illuminate a room and a generation. This one's for her kindness, her joy, her rose-colored glasses. Thank you for listening to Project U 2.2. And Grandma, if you are listening somewhere, thank you for teaching us how to see. I love you.